live stream, we're going to be trying to detail this little blue box engine I bought a couple months ago. This is obviously an undecorated model, and I have all the details right here, so I figured I'll try to put them all on today, and yeah, why not do a live stream and maybe read some chats while I'm at it. Here, I'll just set it to live chat, so hopefully I don't miss anything. Anyway, until anybody starts joining in, I guess I'll begin here. That's the wrong side. I might not be reading the comments perfectly in this live stream just because I'm going to try to focus on doing this as best I can. It's not going to be perfect, you know, I'm not building a Cadillac here, but, you know, I'll try to do my best so that this thing looks kind of decent. Okay, I already got 33 people in here. Anyway, to start off, I guess I'll just kind of connect that part on, and then Athearn includes these little pieces right here, and this is all your spare parts and what have you. I think we got all of them. Yeah, might have lost a couple. Anyway, this first one's sort of interesting because it's a different size from the other ones, so we're going to have to find that first. Let's sort out all the parts first. That'll probably be the best option. So I'll put all the kind of medium ones in this area. Another live. Yeah, 2 in a row, eh? Do you plan at all to paint all the handrails? Yeah, I'm going to show you what I do exactly. Because usually what I do is I install all the handrails first, and then I actually remove them as one piece and then paint them like that. I just find it works a little bit better. I mean, everybody has a different strategy to going about putting these things together, but yeah, usually what I do is I install all the parts and then I glue them in so that they don't move around, and then just paint them. Is this a new loco? It's relatively new. Bought it at Van Horn Hobby in Montreal. You can see my tour somewhere on the channel. That's a screw. Here's the default couplers from Athearn. So you can see, like, right here, that's an odd size. So that might be the one we're looking for. Hey, SMT, how much did it cost? I think it was $70. It wasn't the most expensive engine. You could probably find one at a train show for cheaper. I mean, I've bought CN units for $40 with a similar body style. In fact, I think they were -9s as well. But for a model train shop, that's not a horrible price. Online, these things go for like $100, which in my opinion is overpriced. What did I miss? Not much. We just started. And these parts, I guess, don't leave the factory perfect either. But anyway, let's try and get this one on. I think this is the correct part. Can you run Spaceball 1? This isn't really a running trains live stream. It's more just about trying to put this whole thing together. Hey, SMT, have you ever fixed a big boy? No, I haven't. There's one I bought, actually, which is in need of restoration, so I'll have to work on that one at some point, but I'm going to need to find a day where I've got a lot of time on my hands to work on that one, just because I can't imagine it's a terribly easy engine to service. Just looking for a flatheads here so I can try to kind of push this part in. Sometimes these handrails go in properly, but other times I actually just use a soldering iron to help them get in as they should. And I think the rest of them on this row are all regular size, so that shouldn't be a problem. You should do an incredibly detailed engine one of these days. I don't know. Have you ever tested this loco? How good does it run? It runs pretty well. It's an Athearn blue box, so I was pretty confident that I was getting something good. You know, these aren't the quietest engines, they aren't the most efficient, but they're really easy to work on, and they're super reliable. And yeah, they don't cost a whole lot, really, because, you know, some collectors don't really want the blue boxes just because they're not the most realistic out there. But I'm fine sacrificing a little bit of realism for a really reliable and budget-friendly engine. Hey, SMT, what's your opinion on the Santa Fe in general? I don't know a whole lot about the railroad's history. I really like their paint schemes, though. War bonnet's just fantastic. I mean, I love this. SMT, I have a question. Is Walters Trainline a good company? I like their stuff. You know, they're not the highest end, but they're also not pricing their stuff the highest. They're, as far as, like, you know, budget-friendly equipment goes, I think they're pretty good. In fact, I got that Walters Trainline CSX engine a couple months ago. I did a review on that, and I was pretty impressed. I thought it had a pretty good drive in it. They've done a fine job. Hey, SMT, what's the best DCC controller? I can't really say, and I get asked that question a lot. But the truth is, like, I've only owned 2 DCC controllers in my life, so I just haven't had a lot of experience with different DCC controllers, and I don't want to be telling people, you know, one controller's the best when I haven't tried them all, you know, it just wouldn't be a fair comparison, so I don't actually know. I personally use a DCS 51, but I can't tell you whether or not that's the best controller out there or not. The Blue Box Dash 9 tooling survives today's part of the Athearn Roundhouse line. That's very interesting that they've kept it going. What's your opinion on Mihano as a company? I really liked their products. They had some pretty good stuff back in the 2000s. I mean, I know now they're just selling stuff to Europe. It seems all right. I don't know. I think their quality has gone downhill a little bit, but like those 2 TGV sets, if you can find them selling for a good price, they're fine sets. Adding a bit of weight to them, though, made the biggest difference. Honestly, I wish those things came with a little more weight from the factory, because they perform way better when they have just a little more. None of my diesels have metal handrails. They're mostly plastic, so this is something for different for me to attempt to work on. This is not to scale, I don't think, but these metal handrails are really good because they're hard to break. They don't crack. Sometimes, you know, if you do something wrong, you might bend them, but they're pretty robust. So another reason why these blue boxes are great. And it can be enjoyable to install this stuff yourself. I don't know, there's just something special about, you know, you having actually put something into one of the engines you own, putting it all together. Not everybody likes doing this kind of stuff, but I find it can be fun. Does the VIA 919 run? Yeah, it does. It's also a blue box. It's a pretty special one, too. I wanted that engine for years when I was younger, and I think it was for my 9th birthday. My parents somehow managed to find one, and I remember it was just an Athearn blue box, just like this. I was like, what could be in this? And I opened it up, and it was inside, and I just flipped out. It was so cool. That one was custom built, too. Do you have any suggestions on how to fix a locomotive that runs slow? So it kind of depends, because some engines are just designed to run slow. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If it's an older engine and it's running slow, that could be a sign of a problem. The main thing I would suggest is on the motors, servicing the commutator. So you got these little gaps on your motor, and you want to make sure those are clean, because they can lead to a lot of inefficiencies. So that's one thing to check out. On some engines, you can upgrade your magnets to neodymium. So if it's an older engine, that can really help speed the engine up a little bit. But the main thing is just making sure that the whole drive is working right. Make sure the gearboxes aren't full of crud. Make sure they're well lubricated. And provided you have all those things in check, you shouldn't have problems. So that's where I'd look if you have an engine that's not running so well. How do you replace a battery? A battery on what? Next live stream, can you run the VIA 919 first? I'll try to remember to. And as a lot of you probably know, these live streams can be a little bit random. SMT, I need help. I got a $20 Tyco Penn Central Loco Green VR. Need help on knowing how to fix or clean the engine. If you want to send a email to scrumptiousmodeltrains@gmail.com, I can try to help you with that. What's your favorite CSX paint scheme? I don't know CSX equipment well enough to know the difference between all their different paint schemes, so I couldn't say. How much do you want for the Santa Fe diesel? I'm not really interested in selling this one. That's interesting, this one. I don't think I'm actually supposed to stick handrails into those. Yeah, those aren't supposed to have handrails in them. It's confusing because those two holes right there are at the same level as all the other handrails. It's not a pancake motor. Well, that probably means it's a Tyco Mano, which is great news because those 5 poles are way better than the little 3 poles they had in the other drives, the Power Torques. So hopefully it won't be too hard to fix up. Sometimes because those drives, you can't really open them up unless you want to drill out the rivets, so that can be a bit of a complication, but despite that, they're actually really good. I like the CN train you got off eBay for $25. I think that was actually off of Etsy, but yeah, that was a great deal. All right, so we've got all the handrails installed on this side. We just need to get them straight now. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Because I'm going to remove this to paint it at some point. So I don't want to push everything in too far. I just want to make sure it all kind of fits well. Like, for example, I didn't get that last part in. So it's all looking pretty good in my opinion. Now, this is what I usually do. So I take some super glue and I just glue all the handrails in place. That way they don't move around. Because if you don't do that, you can do stuff like this and it just doesn't look that great. But also, if you glue it in place, what you can do is you can remove this and then you can put it down on a piece of cardboard, paint it the color that you want, and it's good to go. Will you ever buy a Scale Trains model? I think I probably will. I'm really curious about Scale Trains products, so at some point, yeah, if I find something I'm on the market for and they happen to be making it, I'll probably end up buying one. I almost bought one a couple of years ago. It was at my one of my local hobby shops, Larkspur Line Train Store, but when I went back to buy it, somebody else had bought it, so I couldn't get that one. So let's put a little bit of that on. What kind of glue are you using? It's just super glue. I buy it at Dollar Tree. These little bottles are great, the little brush-on ones, because a lot of CA type adhesives, like they come in like a little tube that you have to squeeze, and I just don't find that they work that well. This with the brush, it's a good system, and yeah, for $1, you really can't go wrong. It's a pretty good deal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to actually cheat a little bit because these have a bit of excess on them. And the heat will also help it dry a little faster. If anybody's watching, don't do this at home because it's probably dumb. See, like that one's got a bit too much on it. Yeah, this is just how I go about doing it. What inspired you to create this channel? Nothing really inspired me. What happened was that my grandmother had a 1951 River Rossi Hiawatha, and for years I'd been trying to restore that thing because it was a really cool engine, and I had joined this forum of other model railroaders who were working on the same type of locomotive. The website was pretty weird, where you couldn't actually upload a photo onto it, so I just figured I'll make a YouTube video on what I'm trying to restore, and I'll put a link to that, and then I made more videos about that, and I just kind of liked the process, so I just decided to start making more videos on the channel, and then eventually people started showing up, and I just sort of continued, and I really just can't believe what it's turned into, you know? Like, it was not my intention to create a YouTube channel about trains, but it's just what ended up happening. Do you have any BLI locomotives? Maybe it's Broadway Limited Imports. Yeah, I've got a switcher from them. Also the Australian engine. See, I don't know if maybe that part is a little too big. I should probably cut that down a little bit. German Schenter locomotive I got for $10 and it runs amazing. Good for you. SMT, the biggest loco is the big boy. It's the biggest one in my collection. Oh, we got a super chat for 2,500 CLP. I don't know what currency that is. But here's the comment. SMT, can you detail a steam locomotive in the future? I really like your videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for the super chat. Possibly so. I don't know. Most of the steam engines I buy already come all kitted up, but you never know. I'm always buying a new project, so it's always possible that I'll encounter something like that. Just bought a Burlington Northern Santa Fe diesel to have at Santa's for my birthday present. I'd love to have that Santa Fe locomotive go with my Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Nice. SMT, you should take a -9 and then paint it to the CBQ Everywhere West black and gray paint scheme. I don't think I'm familiar with that paint scheme. I'm just going to try to cut this part. It's not going very well. Well, I'm not really sure. This metal's a lot more flexible than I would have guessed. Let me go see if I can find some sort of maybe a pair of pliers to trim that. All right, I'm back. I managed to find some pliers, courtesy of David of DB Tech. Getting tools maybe, yep. That's it. Nice, that's what I was looking for. Hey SMT, I was just at a train show and I saw an exact blue box undetailed for $75. I also picked up a Bachmann Spectrum 280 in N scale, brand new for $70. Very nice. Yeah, it's good to hear one of these is also going for $70 at a train show. I would expect it to actually be worth a little less, but just because something's at a train show, it obviously doesn't guarantee that it's going to be the best deal. It's just usually the case. Hey SMT, you live in Quebec, so can you give me, or can you give us a tutorial on how to make poutine fries? I guess I could. I don't know if I'd consider myself an expert on how to make a good poutine, but I tell you, in Quebec, you go to any chip stand, you can find a really rockin' poutine. I'm kind of surprised it's not more popular in the United States, honestly, like, because even in Ontario, you can find poutine stands everywhere. What's always important, though, you have to get your gravy really hot, because if it doesn't melt the cheese curds, that's a problem. Just gonna try to bend this piece of metal a little more. Interested in painting an Amtrak engine. I don't know. There we go. SMT, I got the same locomotive 4 months ago for $65 at the Gettysburg train show, number 611. Oh, so that would be that Norfolk and Western steam engine, eh? Have you ever driven a train? Sort of. I don't know. I don't want to go into detail because I don't want to get anyone in trouble. SMT, can you do a Halloween special this year? Maybe so. We'll see. Model railroading has got so expensive. Several manufacturers went out of business. It was fun until everyone had to have DCC. BLI M1 stopped because the whistle was wrong. Rivet counters. I kind of agree. I mean, the hobby's definitely got more expensive. Like 10 years ago, if you look at catalogs back from those times, you know, you can compare it to the same products, which are now being sold for way more. So that's unfortunate. As for DCC sound and stuff, I kind of get it. You know, I think some people want to just get the most realistic stuff that they possibly can, and obviously that's going to come at a bit of a price. But yeah, it is unfortunate that there are not a lot of budget options anymore. Is Bachmann good or bad? It's not my favorite company. If their stuff wasn't being priced so high, I'd be a big fan of Bachmann, but you know, kind of, well, this sort of plays into the last thing, which is that things have become overpriced. Bachmann products, you know, 10, 15 years ago, they were a really good price, and they were actually not that, you know, bad of quality. Like, the quality in Bachmann, in my opinion, over the last 10 years has not improved that much, but their price has gone up a lot. So when their stuff was cheaper, I would let go, you know, my expectations for higher quality because it was budget stuff. Now that it's being sold for more, you expect higher quality. So, is Bachmann making bad stuff? For what they're selling it for, I'm not happy with it. For what it is in general, it's not horrible. Again, it's all just, it's a price to quality ratio. It's like, I actually like Lifelike quite a bit, because even though they were not making high quality stuff, they weren't selling it at a high price either, so it balances. Seems like model railroading costs more than they used to, but the quality on newer stuff is better. Yeah, I'd agree with that, especially the detail over the last 10 years on some manufacturers. You know, like Athearn has definitely been improving, and same goes for, you know, you got companies like Rapido, which have really been flourishing lately. And I think it's because they're selling to a market of people who really want to buy like the most realistic stuff as possible. So it looks like we got another super chat. What advice would you give to someone who wants to start a model railway channel? Last super chat to support the channel. Advice to someone who wants to start a model railroading channel. I would just probably base it around something that you have passion in the hobby, because everybody, I think, is part of model railroading for something different. Like, some people don't even care about the trains that much. For some people, it's just about building, like, you know, an imaginary land, you know. So if there's something in the hobby you really care about, I would probably base your channel off of that. But I don't know if I would build a channel with the intention of trying to turn it into something. You know, I'd probably just suggest doing it. You know, if you have something interesting you want to share with people, that should be your reason for starting a channel, not just to I don't know, gain subscribers or whatever. I used to hardware locomotives for DCC. IHC were a joy to do. That's interesting. I've never kind of done. I've never tried to put a decoder in an IHC engine, but that's good to know. The IHC products are really great. It's too bad that they're not selling them anymore. Would you drive a train for $700? Well, if it was just once, I'd drive a train for free if it was just once. Hey SMT, I just got a steal on an N-scale Pennsylvania 210-0, $80 at my local hobby shop. Congratulations, that's good to hear. Oh, we got a super chat. It's from Controller Packers. My FYP has not been suggesting you in a while. I've been missing so many of your lives. Glad to see you and glad to be back at the channel. Welcome back, Controller Packers, and thanks for the super chat. Hello SMT, I have an HO train layout, but I am going to do an N-scale railroad on my layout as a narrow gauge railroad. Any recommendations for N-scale? Not really. I mean, a lot of the same rules for building a layout, you know, that I suggest for HO pretty much all apply to N. I'm also just not as knowledgeable on N-scale. I have an N-scale layout, but it's definitely not something that I apply as much of my attention to. It's cool, though, that you're combining two scales, or, you know, two different sizes of track, because both are just standard gauge of two different scales. Penline, good or bad? I haven't had a bad experience with their products. Their stuff is... I mean, I don't know when Penline stopped producing stuff. So, yeah, most of the stuff I have from Penline is from the 50s or 60s, maybe into the 70s. So a lot of the stuff you find from Penline is going to be older. And with that, you know, you're going to need to do maintenance, especially because a lot of the stuff hasn't been maintained. But did they make bad products? I wouldn't say so. I think that they were making pretty quality stuff. What do you think about plastic Xmas train sets? All right. You know, it's all about the fun, and if people really enjoy those little sets, all the power to them. I wish they were real model train sets though, and what I kind of mean by that is that, you know, like, they're not actual, like, they're imitating, like, the old O-scale Lionels or, you know, actual, like, electric trains which ran on metal tracks and stuff. Like, there's just these battery-powered mimics. So, it would be nice if they were actually building, you know, real scale models. But, you know what, it would probably cost a lot, so kind of is what it is in that department. Like, a lot of Lionel sets... They're not selling them dirt cheap these days. Handrails are overrated for the crews. They don't need safety. Well, I don't know. Some labor organizations may disagree with you on that. I don't have an opinion in the matter because I'm just putting handrails on a model train. Yeah, I'm using my nickel silver easy track because nickel silver, you got a wide speed on your trains. Steel track is bad for your trains. Steel track isn't bad for your trains. Stuff's just not going to perform as well on steel track because it doesn't conduct as well as nickel silver. But it's not gonna damage anything. So I'm going to try to get these as straight as possible as before, and then we'll do the whole glue process on them. I think that one's a little off. So I think I've pretty much got them all good now, so we'll just put that. What's your P.O. box? Let me see if I can find the little card I have with it on that. I'm sorry, I don't know where it's at, but if you search up SMT Mainline P.O. Box in YouTube, you'll probably find the video. Hey SMT, I bought a Tyco Mantua 060 at an antique store for $8. That sounds like a pretty good deal. What kind of train is that? It's an Athearn Blue Box Santa Fe -9. SMT, do you like Athearn band drive engines? They can be fun to mess around with, but they're not great drives. I mean, they have limited pulling capacity, and those bands wear out really quickly. And they're not super hard to work on, but they're not the easiest either. What do you think of factory painted HO brass engines? Some go for $1,000 or more. I don't know. It depends. If they really look that great, I guess it's worth it. But I kind of think brass is sort of something of the past. I think, you know, if you went back to maybe up until the 80s and 90s, brass would have still been all the rage. But the truth is, like, I would argue that a Rapido engine is probably more realistic than a high-quality brass engine. They're still great. I mean, I like the brass stuff. This is the truth, though. A lot of brass engines, unless they were finely tuned, don't perform that well. Which is something I find a lot of hobbyists seem to know. Like some of those engines, they're decorated perfectly, but if you run them, they're super loud because they got metal components which need a lot of oil. So especially if you don't maintain them, they're not fantastic runners. Do you use eBay to get most of your trains? I buy a fair amount of lots off of eBay, but that's just about it. Other than that, I don't really like buying stuff off of eBay unless it's something that I really want, because the deals on eBay are not the best, especially with shipping. Shipping is through the roof on eBay. I don't know what's happened. Hey SMT, I'm building a layout. Will it affect my locomotives if I put a sheet over the layout? I don't think so. Where'd you buy this locomotive? Van Horn Hobby in Montreal. Oh, okay. There we go. I didn't get this last one in perfectly. Where can I collect model trains like Caltrains, Ace trains, and coaster trains, Santa Fe trains? I don't really know where you'd find specific models. Hey SMT, how are the citizens of Dunderville? That's a good question. If the people on this layout from the town could speak, I'd be interested if they'd find this paradise or kind of a hell, because they always have trains going through their backyard. But I can't speak for them because I don't live there. Any tips on G-Scale? I don't think I've ever worked with a G-Scale product in my life, so I wish I had something to say about it, but I don't. Okay, I'm looking for some of the handrails. I'm not seeing them in here. There's one. I don't know if these are for the back or for the front. I think these are for the back. That seems right. I don't know, they might just be the same. I'm dropping parts on the ground here, folks. I just found those. I don't know if those are the ones I just lost or a different pair. Hold on a moment, everyone. Okay, I found both pairs. They were on the ground. Now I can figure out if they're actually different or not. So, if I compare them, they are in fact different. The question now is which goes where. I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to say that this is for the back, this is for the front. I got one of those brand new for $40. Well, congratulations. Well, there goes the heater. Yeah, I think that's right. See, I can't tell if this is... I'm really confused right now. I can't tell if I'm putting the wrong handrails on or not. I think this is right. And I think we just use 3 of the regular kind. Or 4, I should say. Plus, there's also those handrails which go on the inside. I should probably install those first, actually. There's one of them. I think it goes like that. Do you have any British engines? I've got a few. Some of them are my grandmother's, and then I got another one which was actually sent in by a subscriber quite generously. Try not to accidentally scratch the paint putting this in. I don't really like that. It's funny how some of these handrails, they just go in without any troubles, and then other ones like this, they're not so straightforward. There we go. How do you know how to fix things? Just trial and error. When I was younger, I just opened some of these engines up and I just try to see if I could find the problem. I was not always successful, and I mean, even till this day, I still run into problems, which I don't always overcome, but you know what? There's only one way to learn. But I would recommend, if you want to get into fixing stuff, like buy some engines that are dirt cheap and don't have any sentimental value, because, you know, if you mess up something that's really special to you, that might hurt. But if you buy a $10 engine which is trashed and you're unsuccessful in fixing it, it's not that big a deal. Do you have a small set of drill bits that might help with the handrail holes? I don't have drill bits small enough for this, unfortunately. That would be a good idea, though. So I'm just going to try to... I don't know. I could try to use the old heat strategy, but given how thin the plastic is there, I don't think that that's going to end too well for me. So I think what I'll try to do, I think it's just because I'm trying to put this in at a bit of an angle that's causing issues. So I'll try to just put it in straight and see if that fixes it. There we go. And hopefully this will go back in and we'll be mint. Too many Hornby trains. I've got one. It's kind of an older model, though. This is starting to look half decent with the handrails, eh? Alright, you're gonna add the exhaust and fuel tanks. Well, I've still gotta add the exhaust, but I think everything for the fuel system's in place. You need a hand vise, small hand drill with really small bits. That'd be a good idea. Oh, that one went in without too much trouble. Let's see if we can do the other one the same way. Could just be because some of these are a little bit warped that they don't want to go in perfectly. Yeah, I think I'm going to do what I did with the last model and remove the handrail for installing this bit. There we are. Have you ever been on a real train before? I've been on a few, yeah. All right. Hey, any tips for trips for getting into N scale? Not really. Okay, now let's install those other parts. Should I buy my first Athearn blue box? If you just want to, if you can find one at a good price and you just want a budget engine, which probably won't give you too much trouble, I'd recommend them. Looking much better now. Yeah, I agree. Check out Peter Wacko's vids. They're hilarious. Peter Wacko started making videos. I'm going to have to go see that. It's not the first time I've heard about him being funny. I've still got a box of stuff that I need to unbox from him, but he sent some letters in the past, and they were actually for the entire family, and I brought them upstairs, and he had everyone in hysterics. So that guy's clearly got a real sense of humor. When are you going to start getting into DCC? Okay, it's a bit of a misconception that I don't have anything to do with DCC. Yeah, the majority of engines I work on that, you know, and I own are mainly DC, but I have had a DCC system since like 2010, so over a decade, and I probably got about 25 DCC engines, and I've even done videos on this channel somewhere way back when of installing decoders. In fact, I installed a decoder on the Hiawatha, so it's not that I'm super into DCC, but I'm not into DCC, that's for sure. Hey, SMT, have you weathered a locomotive? Never a locomotive. I've weathered some rolling stock. I thought about actually doing a tutorial on how I weather rolling stock, because I find it looks okay, but I don't know. I kind of figured a lot of people were going to get frustrated, because literally all I do is I just find a really good matte finish spray paint with a good color, and I just spray that on from a distance, and the coating it gives is a really good rust or dirt sort of finish, but the important thing is that it's a matte finish. But I don't know, I just wasn't sure if people are going to see it the same way I did. What do you think about the new Canadian Pacific Orange unit? I haven't seen that. Do you have any Australian engines? Yeah, I've got one. That did not sound right. Okay, I'm just going to have a closer look at this for a moment. I apologize for not being able to do all this perfectly on camera, but the truth is, like, trying to look at this stuff, because I'm further away than the camera is right now, so actually trying to see what I'm doing can be a little bit tricky. How many people in the chat have a layout or started working on one now? That's a great question, Sparky. Alright, finally got those all in. Doesn't look that great. Sparky just posted 73 to 120. I think that's the ratio of likes to viewers. I guess so. Chalk is a good way to start out weathering cars, but you need dull coat to seal it. Interesting. The first, when I made the runaway train, to try to get the colors a little more accurate, I actually just used some black pencils, and those really helped improve the look of the engine. Okay, we've got everything installed on the front now, so I'm just going to try to straighten these out a little bit, get them into the right positions. And once I've got them looking all right, then I'll do the old glue and fire trick. It's tricky to get these things straight. See, the problem is that you can see the handrails are not actually perfectly even. You see there's a little more space on this side than there is this one, so I don't know if I can kind of try to pull this through. Just adjust these a bit. I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. It's not perfect, but I'm pretty happy with that. Metal grabs are harder than plastic because you have so much play in them. If you glue them, use canopy glue. I've just been using this. Hey, SMT, is your layout based in real life? Every scene you see on the layout has had some inspiration from somewhere in my life, but it's not based really on real life with the exception of the Hershey factory. Everything's just, you know, fictional. SMT cut the rail. I'm going to apologize. I don't really know what that is. Yeah, this is moving around a lot. That's not good. All right, let's try to solidify that in place now. You should have a gap between the two center posts. I really apologize. I don't a gap between the two center posts. Yeah, I'm not understanding. I'm no expert. Okay. Usually a chain. Oh, yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, that's true. I guess that shouldn't go right across. Nice catch. I'm going to let the glue dry, but thanks for pointing that out. It looks way better. Hell yeah, brother. Glad you like it. Do the same thing on the rear. Okay. What's the Australian train you have? It's an AC 600? 6,000, sorry. An AC 600. Oh boy. David Z2G Scale, welcome to the live stream. Wawa Mainline has a Bachmann decapod with pulling issues. Any ideas on how to get it to pull more than 2 cars? It should be able to pull more than 2 cars as it is. I think a decapod, though, if I'm not mistaken, that has more than 1 set of driving wheels. So I would check to make sure that they're all functioning properly, because maybe what's happening is one set's working properly and the other set isn't, and that's why the pulling capacity is so bad. Did the Hershey factory change in real life? It did, yeah. The factory which I'm building right now is no longer owned by Hershey. They abandoned that factory in 2008, or 2009, I guess you could say. And then the factory was abandoned for about 5 years, and then a company bought it. They were going to demolish it, and then a couple months before they were going to begin demolition, a company called Tweed came along, and they bought the factory and repurposed it to making some particular medicinal herbs and spices, if you know what I mean. And yeah, it's living its best life. You know what? Things are going pretty well there, and I'm very happy for the town of Smith Falls, because things were a little, you know, it was an economically challenged place, and now that they've got that factory going at full swing, the town is looking great. Every time I visit there, it just seems more and more prosperous, so I'm very happy for them. Pot man. That's it. How much did you pay for your Dash 9? I'm trying to see a reasonable price for the blue box version. This one I think was like $70. You should come to the Woodstock Model Train Show on October 17th. Don't worry about the 6-hour drive. It will be fun. If the border situation wasn't so bad, I'd love to go to a bunch of American train shows, but you have to get all these COVID tests and everything else. It's pretty complicated. Probably talking about Woodstock, Ontario. Is there a Woodstock, Ontario? My memory could be failing me a little right now. I'll be in Phoenix when the train show's on. And getting these little handrails is really tricky. Woodstock, there is a Woodstock, Ontario. I knew that there was. I just wasn't sure. I thought it. I think there is a Woodstock in the States as well, though. I don't know. Probably mixing things up with, of course, Woodstock. Concert. Athearn ready to roll is better. Probably realism-wise. I don't know about reliability-wise. The thing is, they keep making these models more and more complicated, installing all these fancy electronic components, which makes them more realistic. But how long they'll last is a whole other story. No electronics. Well, I mean, if you count a light to be an electronic, these have this. But these are not high-tech engines, these old blue boxes. But that's part of what makes them great. That's a huge reason why they're hard to break. When you've only got a motor, a light, and then just some metal to connect them all together, there's not a whole lot to go wrong. When you've got circuit boards, which are sensitive to there being too much voltage or a power surge or something along those lines, and even circuit boards themselves, solder is very prone to cracking and stuff like that, so it does make the engine a lot more sensitive when you add all that extra stuff. Oops. Athearn Genesis is different. Yeah, well, I think Genesis is like their top of the line brand. Wow, I actually managed to break that off. Well, for whatever reason, that one handrail is being really difficult, so I think I'm going to just try to use a different one. Or, last resort, I can use the old heat method, but I'm going to try to avoid that this time around. What's your favorite scale? It's HO. No, what I'm trying to say is blue/yellow RTR is just blue box with different plastic drive, and they run quieter and heavier to pull. Interesting. Now I've got that backwards. Getting this one part in is really starting to grind my gears. I don't know why this one is giving me so much trouble. SMT, when we were done doing a live stream, when we were doing a live stream together, you need to try some Train Simulator. I need to get Microsoft Train Simulator working again. Unfortunately, my Windows XP machine decided to bite the dust, so either I'm going to have to fix that or figure out how to set up an emulator, but I don't know if I have the computer know how to do something that advanced. Okay, I've got the handrail straight. I'm applying pressure to it. Still doesn't want to go in. There we go. Serenity. Okay, so I guess with that, I've pretty much got all the handrails installed. Now all I've got to do is put in the horns and some other small details, but other than that, things are pretty good. If you like MSTS, you can use Open Rails. You can use MSTS content on Windows. Yeah, I actually have Open Rails. What I need to figure out is if it's compatible with my Rail driver or not, because it's a big part of why I'm still using MSTS, even though it's a 20-year-old simulator. I'm just noticing I don't seem to have the details like the horns and all the other stuff, so I don't know where that's at. Did I put it somewhere? Oh, it's probably in this. What the heck? Yeah, so for some reason they decided not to paint the horn on this model. Seems pretty unrealistic to me, so I'm gonna have to, I guess, paint that silver at some point. So that's one thing, but I'll just put it in for now, just for argument's sake. Hopefully the horns are at least colored. I don't know why they wouldn't just, like, look, they literally have the injection molding for the same plastic. Why wouldn't they just make this out of the same plastic as that? Weird. This is some fancy stuff. This is for, like, the brakes and everything. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna put that on exactly. Maybe later. But for speed's sake, I'll try to get the horns on right now. You just need the right fork of open rails to use the rail driver. Interesting. Did you read the directions, Harrison? Nope, never do. Those brakes aren't that hard, easier than the handrails. Probably so, it's just that it's also getting a little bit later. It's 10 something, everyone's going to bed, so I probably will install those at some point, but might leave it for tonight. Because I also want to paint that and do all sorts of other stuff. Just got a little bit of flashing I'm going to try to trim off here. Okay. Put a little bit of adhesive on this part. Hopefully it will go in with the adhesive on it. This might create problems, but how long are you going to run this live stream? Maybe another 10 minutes or so. We'll see. Try not to bend the... Yes, there we go. That went well. I got a couple pieces which go right here. I think that's what those are. So we'll trim those out. I just saw some really big bug run across the floor. I don't know what that was. I think I got like a spider down here or something. Okay. Sand filler hatches. Okay, that's what these are for. I'm learning new stuff today. It looks like we got just a touch of flashing on the end of that. Should probably be using tweezers for pieces this small, but I don't know where the ones I had went, so... Oh, actually, maybe I do have some. Let me have a look here. Oh, I saw something the other day. Yeah, I'm not seeing them. I think I did lose them. Well, thanks to my nice going, it looks like I'm going to have to do this by hand. Watch me mess this up. Had to go there, Sparky. What did Sparky say? War bonnet is nice, but be so much better in the big blue. Don't forget to install the base for the exhaust stack. Where's that at? That's probably what this red thing is, eh? That would make a lot of sense. See, this is why I need to do a live stream, because this is all the stuff that I forget when I'm not, when I'm doing this on my own and not reading the instructions. By hand needs smaller fingers then. That would be convenient. Wow. Well, that's at least 10% more mint already. Thanks, everyone. Sparky, don't they use Conrail to move criminals from jail to jail? Is that true? Oh, I get the joke. Conrail, because like convict rail. If you have to paint the stack, paint the horns silver. They should not be red. Okay, this is good to know. I mean, if I'm gonna be painting some stuff anyway, I may as well do it right. Okay, now I'm gonna try to get this piece in. Oh boy, this is not going very well, folks. It's almost as if not using the right tools makes it harder to set things up. Okay, well, those aren't glued on yet anyway, so we'll just leave those off, but let's have another go. Yeah, there's strike 2. Starting to think maybe I should go looking for those parts. Jennifer White. Well, there's a name I haven't seen in a while. Hello. That's not. Why is the base for the exhaust stack and air horn red? The one I had was silver. You might have a rare bird on your hands, Harrison. Interesting. Yeah, I'm starting to think that maybe part of the reason this is not going in very well, too, is just because the plastic looks a little jaded on the end there. So, what options do I have? I could go get a pair of oversized pliers, try to use those. I could look for the pair of tweezers I had around here, but that have seemed to disappear. Or, option 3, I can continue trying to get those parts in with my hands. I do not know which is the best option. Probably looking for the tweezers, I'd imagine. And knowing the way I go about most things, I probably got those lost real well. SMT ASMR. It may be ASMR, but what I need to be is SMRT. Alright, so I think I'm going to write off trying to find those tweezers, because they're clearly really gone. But I may have a pair of pliers I can try to get those in with. So I'm going to go hunt for those. I'll be right back very soon. Alrighty, folks, I'm back with some tools. This is what I've got to work with. You might think I'm joking, but I promise you I'm not. These, by the way, I think belong to my great-grandfather and are probably from about the 1950s or so. But this is my idea. Which is that if I can get the ends of the pliers just to grip the top of this, I can probably hold it on. Hold on to it well enough to get it in. I don't know. It seems questionable. All right, everyone, place your bets in the comments. Will SMT successfully get this in or not? We all know what happened last time. Okay, I think I'm going at this backwards. There we go. Oh, no. Not again. People watching future live streams are going to be, SMT, why does this engine look like junk? It looks like somebody did a really bad job gluing the parts in. And now there's going to be proof as to exactly how that happened. Oh. Look at that. Well, there's 1 out of 2, so I guess I'll kind of call that a victory. Now, I'm pretty sure I messed up that third one. So what we're going to try to do is get this part in. How to lose parts in 3, 2, 1. Haha. That's where I proved you wrong. The engine doesn't look great, but you know what? It's in. These engines in real life take a bit of a beating, you know, with the weather and just being in the elements all the time, so we'll just call that character. We're gonna end this live stream soon. As soon as I get these parts in. Alright, so we're gonna try to repeat the last stunt. Hopefully that will pay off. Got a bit of adhesive on there, so if I actually do get it in, it will hold. Thanks for the super chat, Sparky. And Sparky's super chat is telling me to get some needle nose pliers, so presumably now I have the budget to do that. I'm sure they do a much better job than these things would. This is starting to remind me of the other one. Oh no. What I should have titled this live stream is How Not to Install Details with SMT Mainline. Can't tell if that actually... I think I got that in. No way. Alright, we got the details in. They look okay. So, I don't know really what we had left. One thing that I should note is that's the handbrake right there, which is supposed to go back there. But that's not a problem, really, because the thing is I'm going to be removing these handrails at some point, probably to throw a bit of paint on them, so that shouldn't be a problem. We got these little sun visors. I guess we'll install those, and then maybe we'll, I don't know, take this engine for a little rip around the layout, and then call it a night. How does that sound? I'll be curious to see, too. Maybe I can chip off some of that excess glue. It's not a huge deal, but I'd prefer if it wasn't there. Let's trim the flashing off of those a little. Paint them with paint markers. That might work. It'd have to be a good match, though, otherwise I think I'm probably just going to make the problem worse. It's 9:22 for me. Here it's 10:20 something. Liam, welcome to the live stream. How are you? So there's one Looking all right. Really good. I actually have a pretty good little knife to cut this stuff, but it's probably in the same spot that the tweezers are. Alright, so here's the thing. I need to somehow get that on there. I think it's also supposed to go on at a bit of an angle, but they don't give you any, like, there are no holes or anything here to actually install that on, so I guess you just put a bit of glue on the end and hope for the best. SMT, what rail line did you grow up by, and what trains do you remember seeing growing up? There aren't a whole lot of trains in the area, so the only one I saw on a somewhat regular basis was at my grandfather's house, outside of Gatineau, which was the tourist HCW railway. I guess the Ottawa O train would be second after that, but I'm not entirely sure. Not a whole lot of stuff. I guess I could say Canadian Pacific as well, because there's this apple orchard that me and my family usually go to every year, and when I was a kid, usually see a train or two going through the country back there. But that was like a once a year kind of occasion. I changed, oh, whoops. I changed out the decoder on a CNJ 462, and I have a different sound system, and it worked for 2 months until the decoder fried. I'm not sure why it did, but now I'm going to have to replace the decoder. I wish I knew more about DCC, and could tell you why that might have happened. I'm sorry to hear that. Is that one DCC or DC? This is an old DC engine. Nothing too fancy. Also, nothing too much to go wrong, really. It wouldn't be hard if I wanted to put a decoder in this one, though. These blue boxes are not terribly hard to modify. I think I just messed up the visor on the other side. So that's about as much detail as I think I'm going to put on this thing for today, because the other stuff is either going to take more time or it's going to require some painting, and I don't think all of you want to be waiting for the paint to dry, so we'll bring this thing over to the track and just have it run around the layout just so we can kind of see it with handrails and everything else. I hope those visors hold on. There's a properly detailed engine. And then here's what I've done. Okay. Time to go out for a rip. Yeah, that's right. I still haven't tested out this controller because I think I might have got water in it in the previous live stream. But as you can see, it's not running too bad. It looks way better with the handrails already, and it's not even finished, so yeah. Very happy with that. I'm just gonna get this out of the tripod so I can actually hold up the camera properly. Seems to be struggling a little in the corner. To you, buying a fully detail or adding details what is worth it to you, and what do you recommend? For me personally, I think I prefer just buying these cheaper engines that you add the detail on, because I actually quite enjoy installing all this stuff. But to anybody who wants to get something super realistic, frankly, the people that work at the factories usually do a better job. They just know their trade well. So I guess this engine needs to be serviced. I don't know why it's having problems in the curves. That's weird, but other than that, it seems to be running okay. Let's bring it back. Have you seen the Northern Lights in person? I don't think so. Well, that seems all right. Anyway, I think I'll finish off this live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in and joining me work on this whole thing. It was a lot of fun chatting with all of you, and I learned some new stuff about detailing these engines, which is good, because I've also got a BC rail engine over here, which literally needs the exact same procedure done to it, so I might do another live stream of working on that. Who knows? But until then, I'd like to thank you all for joining in. Have a wonderful night, everyone.